live?
Yes.
Are we really, really live?
Yes, and
I want to be a real boy.
The camera is like zooming in and out on you, and the face that's next to your elbow.
This guy, little buddy.
You should put him in the chair so that my camera will focus on the two of you. That helps a lot, actually.
He doesn't have much to say.
What I love is that the program thinks that's a person, so it's adjusted its camera size to fit him into the screen.
You know, AI's gonna do it, man. Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday morning. I don't know if you guys saw, but we've got a big, beautiful bill just past the house. 215 to 214. I'm super stoked to have an even greater national deficit. It's going to be awesome.
I don't even listen to this stuff anymore.
It's only added $3.6 trillion to the deficit, so it's no big deal.
Wait, so the guy who's supposed to come in and make all that go away added to it?
Yeah. It's only 36,000 billion.
Oh. You know what's so funny about that? My kid the other day was like, Mom, 10,000 is not really 10,000. He was like, no, it's 1,000. It's 1,000. And I was like, no, buddy, that's not how that works. Oh, man.
I mean, they're not wrong. 1,000 is 1,000. You know, most people, though, when they hear numbers like trillion, they just check out.
Yep.
Right? So,
a lot of zeros.
A million is 1,000 thousand. A billion is 1,000 million. A trillion is 1,000 billion.
That's messed up.
So 3.6 trillion is 36,000 billion dollars. I just, think about it, man. Like, I've never had anything even close to that amount of money. I don't want anything even close to that amount of money. But when people's like, Elon Musk, he's the richest man in the world. He shouldn't have that much influence over the government. He's got 400 billion. They just added 36,000 billion. Love it, hate it, whatever, however you feel about the bill. Elon has 400 billion, and Elon doesn't have 400 billion. Elon controls assets that are valued at 400 billion. The government just added 36,000 billion to the deficit. That's not all the money they're going to spend. That's just the money that they're not going to be able to come up with. That's the deficit to pay their bills. So that's super fun. Hey, I'm very, very much so on Team America. Like, I want the world and America to do, but primarily America to do well. Because, call me an ethnocentrist. I know, big words. But I live here, and my kids live here, and therefore I would like it to go well here. The indicators aren't always great. There's some things that aren't looking that great. And whether the world collapses or not, the country collapses or not, you need bleeding control. You need to maintain a patent airway. This dude right here, I don't know why I put my finger in his mouth. But don't necessarily do that. You should potentially sweep if you have an object that's occluding the airway. But they could bite you. If you got some of this stuff right here, this is naloxone, aka Narcan. You press this thing here. You time for the inhale. You go poof, and then they violently wake up and retch all over the place. And that foamy retch that they puke all over the place also has fentanyl in it, which is why you should always have gloves on, scene safe, before you do any of this. And try and position yourself behind the patient when you pinch the nostril, right? And when they wake up like a zombie, they're really pissed off that you just crushed that high that they spent so long working on. And they go, blah, blah, blah. You don't want any of that on you, because that stuff also has fentanyl in it. And then you're going to have to yourself, and by the time it hits you, you're probably going to be passed out. and you're not going to be able to yourself. So it's a strange world we live in.
Today's Medic Minute.
Today's medical. Yeah, pretty much. A lot of zombification. You know, let's go there. Where do the precursor chemicals for fentanyl come from? China. And so, you know, Putin and Xi were supposed to have a conversation about, hey, Mr. Xi, please stop sending the precursor chemicals to the cartels in Mexico, where Claudia Scheinbaum is basically owned by the Mexican cartels as well. And so, hey, we really don't want Americans to be dying of fentanyl. And if you could stop Mr. Xi sending these precursor chemicals into Mexico so that fentanyl ends up in America, we'd really appreciate it. Sure, I love that. Doesn't mean that 100,000 Americans per year, 100,000 Americans per year, low end of the number, aren't dying from fentanyl. Think about that, right? Was it 59,000 injured or wounded in the Vietnam War? 59,000 in Vietnam. I know from the Global War on Terror, there were 19,000 cat tourniquet applications and 13,000 soft T applications. That's 32,000. 100,000 Americans a year from fentanyl, from that stuff, the opposite of this stuff. That's naloxone, that's Narcan. 100,000 Americans a year. So talk about asymmetric warfare, right? That's kind of like a big deal. And then what we absolutely, even though, you know, we have MAHA now, Make America Healthy Again, what we absolutely don't talk about is the fact that when you buy the pre-packaged processed foods that you could buy at the grocery store or the drive-through or DoorDash or your favorite fast casual sit-down restaurant, all that stuff, it's all poison. It's all poison. It's not good for you. And more people die from myocardial infarction, aka heart attacks and diabetes, than they do from fentanyl. But then you've got, you know, people who are like, we've got to do away with the guns for safety reasons because people get shot with guns. Sure, we can by and large fix gunshot wounds, especially handgun caliber gunshot wounds. But yeah, sure. What's much harder to fix is the mindset of McDonald's isn't food. That's not food. It's the equivalent of like, well, I'm going to go out to the barn and slop the hogs today. Like, don't be a factory farmed human is the point that I'm getting at here. I don't know. We kind of got off on a tangent here. I was doing some a little bit of research before we opened the show this morning. This guy. Where's Jason when you need him? Oh, that's right. He's deployed with Grindstone. He's in London, Kentucky right now. Jason, wiry little fella. He will absolutely
Buckets
choke
and
you
Bibles
out.
is here.
Buckets and Bibles is here. I love that guy. That's my homie. So I was doing a little bit of research before the show started this morning. I just put into the old Google foo, you know, the mind control device here on the existential crisis rectangle. Gunshot wound news. Overwhelming. Investigation underway after man arrives at Madison Hospital with gunshot wound. Homie drop off. Okay. 12-year-old boy in Philadelphia dies after being accidentally shot by a 14-year-old brother. That's firearm safety. Okay. 4 weapons of firearm safety. Your kids should not be able to get to your firearms. And like, we have firearms in our home. My kids know. Well, first of all, my 2 older kids have their own firearms because they've been training on them since they're about as tall as this table, right? And then my 8-year-old and the 14-month-old don't have access to firearms. So, you don't have the weapon where children can access them, and children should have a incredibly healthy respect, if not fear, for the weapon. So, attempted murder investigation open after woman shows up at hospital with gunshot wound. Another homie drop off. Derry investigation continues after report of someone with gunshot wound. Madison police investigation after man shows up at hospital with gunshot wound. 14-year-old girl dies from accidentally self-inflicted gunshot wound, police say. This is just headlines. Police, 2 teens suffering from apparent gunshot wounds. South Macon Street. 12-year-old boy dies after being accidentally shot. Madison police investigating. Police released new details after a 4-year-old child dies from gunshot wound. Now, there's an element of strategic relocation here. If you live in a place where people are shooting at each other, it's probably time to move. If you drive through places where people shoot at each other, you definitely need to know how to use these things, right? Tourniquet, pressure bandage, wound packing gauze, restrict the arterial and the venous systems in your body so that the blood doesn't flow out of gunshot wounds, dealing with a sucking chest wound. So a sucking chest wound, this box right here, this guy, we'll use our buddy, our little buddy, from right about here, top of the sternal plate, this notch right here, down to the belly button. If we just did this at Train the Trainer quite a bit, it was awesome. If you make people touch it, it gives them physical reference points, okay? So touch your belly button and touch the nape of your neck, this notch right here, sternal notch. Unless you're driving, in which case don't do that. In between your 2 fingers right there, all of that operates in a vacuum. It's called the pleural space. And so in between here and here is the pleural space. This is all in a vacuum, 360 degrees around. And regardless of I pledge allegiance to the flag, your heart's not over here on your left side. Your heart's in the center of your chest, behind the sternal plate. Which is why, if you're gaining intraoscular access, there's 2 different lengths of catheter that you use. One is for the head of the humerus, it's much larger, longer. The other is for the sternal plate. It's much shorter, because if you drill through the sternal plate with the long one, you'll hit the heart, okay? So the heart's in the center of the chest, your lungs are on either side of it, and your lungs and your heart have been best friends literally your entire life. And they are ride or die. They will be riding together until you die. If they stop riding together, you will die, okay? So heart's in the center of the chest, lungs are on either side of it, and all of this is in a vacuum. Down here at the belly button, about an inch above the belly button, is what's called the diaphragm. If you've ever butchered an animal, that flap in between the intestines and you know where the kidneys and liver are, okay? Up here, and then down here you have the intestines, and then you go north of the kidneys and the liver, you'll find the heart and the lungs. Cool. That flap in between, that is the diaphragm. So when you inhale, the diaphragm is pulling down, and when it pulls down, it forces air through the airway, down the trachea, into the lungs. It branches off into each lung. And so when the diaphragm pulls down, the lungs inflate. When the diaphragm pushes back up again, the lungs deflate. And so when they inflate, you're pulling through your airway, your nose and your mouth, your maxillofacial region. You're pulling oxygenated air in, go into the lungs. That oxygen in the lungs hits the alveoli of the lungs, which then goes into the oxygenated blood, runs through the alveoli into the heart. And your arteries push out oxygenated blood to the your fingertips and your toes. Then they return from your fingertips and your toes with carbon dioxide back to the heart, where across the alveoli of the lungs, the CO2 is pushed back out when you exhale, okay? So lungs and heart, BFFs, they've always been BFFs. When you have a hole in the chest, a sucking chest wound, when the diaphragm pulls down, there's no longer a vacuum in the pleural space. And so the air, instead of going through the airway, goes through the hole in the box. And this is 360 degrees around, all the way around the patient, all the way around you, 360 degrees around, in between the belly button and the sternal notch, the nape of the neck. So any holes I have in this box, aka a sucking chest wound, I have to plug those holes back up. This was tickling my leg, and I'm just sensory overload. It must go. So when the diaphragm pulls down, the oxygenated air, instead of going through the airway and into the lungs, goes through the hole in the chest. And then it will build up back pressure in between the pleural space, which is supposed to be in a vacuum, and the lung itself. And as that back pressure builds up, it'll force the lung closed. That's called a pneumothorax. As it continues to force the lung closed, it can force the lung to basically begin to push on the heart. That's called a tension pneumothorax. And so in a pneumothorax, I've got impeded breathing. In a tension pneumothorax, I've got impeded breathing and pumping of blood. Well, there's two things are required to be clinically dead. One is no respirations. I'm not breathing. Okay, so we're halfway. Whoa, we're halfway there with a pneumothorax. And a tension pneumothorax, I've got no respirations and no pulse. That's clinically dead. So sucking chest wound, hole in the chest, it's a problem. So if we have a conscious patient, we're going to tell them to exhale, 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 right? And when they exhale, that pushes the diaphragm back up. So it's at the top, the peak of its travel. So the pleural space is as small as possible. And then we're going to slap a chest seal over the hole. So now when they breathe in again, when the diaphragm pulls down, the air can't get through the hole into the pleural space and continue to collapse the lung. The air has to go back through the airway into the lung, which helps reinflate the lung and also gets oxygenated air into the lung so that you don't die. Very simple. You put a sticker on the hole in the box. Excuse me. So, gunshot wounds, everybody needs to know how to treat gunshot wounds, because even if you live in a gated community, your house is measured in the 7, 8, 9 figure range, you still probably drive through areas that where people be shooting at each other, or maybe you have firearms in your home. God forbid you've got firearms in your home, or you have a break-in or whatever, or you went out for a hunt with your buddies, the hunt of a lifetime. We're gonna go hunt, zebu in the mountains of Trashcanistan or wherever you're going, and you have a negligent discharge. Maybe you're at the range this weekend with your SIG P320 and something goes bad. Gunshot wounds happen, and you absolutely need to be training on these things, because in many, many instances, I was just on the phone with a gentleman yesterday from the Texarkana region who's a volunteer firefighter, and I was like, who is the most qualified medical professional on your in your fire department? And he goes, probably me. I said, okay, what do you got? And he goes, well, I took Combat Lifesaver when I was in the military many, many years ago. That guy, no offense to that guy, but that guy's the most qualified individual on the fire department. Fire oftentimes works with EMS, and especially rural volunteer fire departments, they do a lot of med calls. And so when the fire department gets here, or law enforcement doesn't get a lot of training in medical. So they're not necessarily going to be equipped or trained how to fix the problem, even though the problem's very basic. We got to keep the blood inside the body. We got to maintain respirations. That's the MAR, massive bleeding, airway, and respiratory of the March algorithm. And it's really basic. Now, this guy doesn't have any arms. Had a really tragic experience, and he has no arms. So had he arms, we would put tourniquets on the arms and the legs. This guy's a rough life, little buddy. So tourniquets on the arms and the legs, and then we, in our junctional areas, which is our neck, our shoulders, our pelvic girdle, and our ass, if you have one. He doesn't have one. I'm not sure how he defecates. Maybe that's why he's so
My
skinny.
camera doesn't know. Every time you turn his face, my camera.
It goes like, where's the person?
The camera's like, oh, I recognize him from the factory.
I already
It's-
fixed it so you would be fully in view, and it's just because his face is there. This is what they see right now. You and his head. I hope you know so much of this is getting cut up
Robin.
to be used.
Robin?
Hey, guess who's in the chat?
I want to be a real boy.
Sarah from class is in the chat.
Oh, hello, Sarah. Sarah's awesome. Sarah's an amazing human being. We had awesome students. So let me finish this thought.
Okay.
Treatment of gunshot wound. We'll land this plane, and then we'll take off on the next one, which is awesome students. So had this gentleman arms, we would use tourniquets on the arms and the legs, high and tight. turn the windlass, the sticky thing, until we visually observe the bleeding has stopped. In our junctional areas, which is our neck, don't stick a thumb in it, wound pack it, and apply a pressure dressing. Oh, hello, Mike.
Hello.
Oh, you have a question? Junctional areas, neck, shoulders, pelvic girdle, your derriere, those are going to get wound packed, and that's with compressed gauze and a pressure bandage. And the goal is not to fill the volume of the wound with gauze to soak up the blood and form a clot. The goal is to use the gauze to pinch the bleeding vessel closed, to pinch off the garden hose so that no more blood leaks out. So, junctional areas, we're going to use wound packing, pressure bandage. Extremities, arms and legs, we use the tourniquet. Then holes in the box, we put a sticker on the box. We put a chest seal on. And then monitor the patient for respiratory distress, because there's a chance that, a likelihood that, when we put this chest seal on within 5 to 15 minutes, we will have created a tension pneumothorax, because back pressure can build up inside the pleural space. And so when you see your patient, whoever that might be, beginning to act as if they're having respiratory distress, and people who can't breathe will tell you they can't breathe. Even if they can't verbally tell you they can't breathe, they'll be clawing at their neck, they'll be banging on the table. We take the chest seal, we say exhale, 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 if they're conscious. If they're not, we push up on their diaphragm to move the diaphragm up.
Hold him up, because they won't show his lower body.
You push up. Not that violently.
I feel like now you're just.
But you push up on the diaphragm, okay? Don't do that. Just push up on the diaphragm, okay? And that forces the diaphragm up, deflates the lungs, and then you pull down on your sticker until it's past the hole in the chest, and it will go, and then you cover it back up and restore the vacuum to the pleural space. So, gunshot wounds, brief overview, just be super careful, especially, man, the weekend's coming. Everybody, it tends to be when sketchy stuff happens, it's on the weekends, Friday night, Saturday night. Is Mike okay?
Yes.
As yours just showed up.
Is yours here?
Yeah.
Why?
Pickup day, I guess. At 9, so they're just early.
We need to find a new drop-off location.
They're in the parking lot.
We'll handle that later.
Okay.
That's probably not something we should do during the live stream.
No, they're like, what's Azure? If you don't know what Azure is, it's amazing. You should check it out.
I believe they prefer their name to be announced Azure Standard,
You know
but
what?
everybody
I do
calls
what
it
I
Azure.
Azure?
Listen, I get it.
Azure.
I get it. We spoke with them on the phone several times back in the day about a thing, and they refer to themselves as Azure,
Azure.
even though we call them Azure.
Azure.
But they
Ours
are
sounds more fancy. Azure.
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 No, Kevin wanted to know, do we teach how to use a decompression needle for blunt force trauma to relieve pneumothorax?
So let's talk about that. If you have a closed tension pneumothorax or pneumothorax, meaning there's no external holes in the box, which is usually the result of blunt force injury. Okay, so now one of these ribs is broken and it pokes into the lung. We now have the opposite problem. Air's coming in through the airway, down the trachea, into the lung, but there's a hole in the balloon inside of the box. And so air is leaking out of the balloon into the box, and that back pressure is building up, causing the lung to deflate. Okay, so the problem is on the inside, there's no external hole. The way that we would alleviate that is to do what's called a needle decompression. I have to make a hole in the box to get the back pressure out of the pleural space. This is something you have to be trained on, and nationally now, you have to be at the paramedic level or above in order to be trained on that. You have to have funny letters after your name. Can we teach you if you have funny letters? Yes. Can we teach you if you don't have funny letters? No. But typically, you're looking mid-clavicular line, so this is the clavicle, this is the nipple, so you're gonna visually draw a line from down here, and then you're gonna palpate what are called intercostal spaces. When those are the spaces, the soft spots in between the ribs. Between the second and fourth intercostal space, you go in with a 10 to 14 gauge, 3 3/4 inch long catheter needle. You go in, you come down, and you want to make sure that you're hitting the pleural space, not the lung, and not the heart, because that needle is that long. I have one. Let me show you. The picture says 1,000 words. Oh look, an ankle kit. Wow. And on my ankle kit, I have a decompression needle. And it's that long. So if you put this into the person's heart, they now have a hole in their heart. That's a problem. If you put it into their lung, they now have another hole in their lung. So it has to go into the pleural space, between the second and fourth, which generally is considered the third intercostal space, and into the pleural space inside of the box, that empty space that operates in a vacuum, not into the lung, which is occupying the empty space that operates in a vacuum. So do we teach it? Yes, but not to civilians, because that would be a violation of federal law, and I really like not living in prison. So you have to have funny letters after your name in order to be instructed on a needle decompression. That's at the paramedic level and above. However, there's all kinds of things on YouTube. YouTube is the world's second largest search engine, owned by the world's first largest, Google. And if you were to hypothetically, allegedly, put the phrase needle decompression into the YouTube search bar, you could find video demonstrations of such things. Here's my challenge to you. Watching a YouTube video does not mean you know how to do something. Watching this live stream right now does not mean you're now qualified to go perform bleeding control. Okay? Just because you watched a video on needle decompression doesn't mean you know how to do it. And if you don't know how to do it, you're taking a very long needle and putting it into somebody's chest. And if you put it in the wrong place, you've made the problem considerably worse, increasing the likelihood that the patient will die, not decreasing. We're not increasing survivability, we're increasing mortality if you do it wrong. So make sure you actually know how to do it. Don't just watch a YouTube video and go, check, got it, no big deal. Yes, Rob-Ann?
Chicken Farmer Plus said,
I love that guy.
we were trained to do it in the military, but he can't perform it as an EMT. Like, that says something. If you can't even do it as an EMT.
100%. Hold on.
Yeah. So we have Sky in the chat from class. Sarah's here from class.
Oh, amazing.
Who else from class is in here? Jake Tripp is in class. Let's see. Anybody else here from class?
La 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 la
They were
la
just
la
at
la.
Train the Trainer, guys, and that class was freaking phenomenal. It was so good.
Train the Trainer was amazing, and I told the students, and I meant it. Usually, when you train a group of students, there's always the bottom 10 to 20%. Whereas an instructor, you're looking at them going, "I'm sure you're a really nice person, but why are you here?" Right? Especially when it's a class that the student doesn't want to be here, but their boss, their sergeant, somebody, their compliance officer at a company, their EHS personnel made them come take the class. They don't want to be here. They didn't pay for the class. They're not bought in. I throw those people out. Like literally I say, "Hey man, appreciate you. Thanks for coming. Front door's right there. Get out." And they're like, "Yeah, Terry." No, you're a good student. But I throw those people out of class because they take away from the training value of everyone else in the class. Because they're disruptive, they're not bought in, they don't want to play. And that negative attitude is infectious. So get out. And then they say words to the effect of, "Well, what am I going to tell my boss, my sergeant, my EHS guy, my whatever?" I said, "You can go back and tell them that you're a shitty student. And if they call me and ask me why you're not in class, that's what I'm going to tell them. You're a shitty student. You're wasting my time, you're wasting your time, you're wasting the company's resources that sent you here, you're wasting the time and resources of everybody else that wants to be here, which is why you're not here anymore. Get out." So, typically, there's somebody or somebody's like that in the class, right? We did not have that problem at Train the Training. And we rarely have that problem at Refuge because we have such a bought-in group in the Refuge Nation. It's like only when we do private classes for like companies, schools, you guys want to be enraged? when we go train schools, 60-40 split between teachers that are active and engaged and don't want to be there. 60% of them don't want to be there. They're not paying attention. They're on their phones. They're like, you're teaching them critical, life-saving protocols and algorithms, giving them free equipment, taking our time to do it, and this is their attitude. I hate it. I want to pick those MFers up by the throat and throw them across the room because it's a disservice, right? And we've got school shootings are a thing, unfortunately. And these people couldn't care less, man. They just so we didn't have that problem at Train the Trainer, which was awesome. The quality of student was absolutely incredible. The curriculum was really cool. I really enjoyed teaching people to teach and how to teach. Yes, we absolutely covered what to teach, but a lot on how to teach and everything from developing a med plan to moving casualties to how to set up scenarios. And here's the scenario. You run the scenario, as a student, you run the scenario. And then we're going to debrief you on sustain and improve. You did this well, you didn't do that well. Here's the 2 TLOs, terminal learning objectives of this scenario. Here's the 4 teaching points of this scenario. Okay, so you do it as a student. Now, you stand next to me and watch me run 2 more students through it. So I do it. Then you'd stand with me, and then we do it together. Run it again for 2 more students. And then you run the scenario. I do, we do, you do. You run it for 2 more students. So they're getting like 4 reps on this scenario, and then a debrief afterwards of, again, reminder, here's the 2 TLOs on that scenario, here's the 4 teaching points on that scenario. Now as a group, what questions do we have, what observations do we have? Everybody take notes, write it down, boom, on to the next thing. And so it was very cerebral. It was awesome, and Lauren and Dudley did a phenomenal job. We live streamed the entire thing to a private link, like 25 hours of video to serve as a reference point for the students that were here. So their experiences are being captured on camera so they can refer back to that, refer back to the curriculum, refer back to their notes, and they're now part of the training family here so they can call the store. I was texting with Claudia yesterday. Claudia, an excellent student from class, she's like, we have questions, we want to become a Refuge training partner, can you help me answer some of these questions? Absolutely. So it was an amazing class. It just super high quality individuals, and the best thing about it was everyone was bought in. And we knew from like literally the moment class started, the intent of this class is to teach you so you can go teach others. And that's very Refuge. Our ethos has always been, I see you, Lauren, our ethos has always been, I can't teach the whole world, but I can teach you. And then you can go teach 10 more people. And then they can each teach 100 people. And at some point, the whole world knows this stuff. And when it does, cool. Either we hang it up or we figure out the next thing that we're going to teach, right? But having that understood implicitly and explicitly from literally the first moment of the class was a great intent for me and a great intent for the company, because it's in such alignment with our morals, our ethics, our values, our core values, our mission statement. It was just a beautiful thing. What do you got, Ryan?
Well, I was going to say too, and this is not to throw shade at any other class, but there is a difference when you have people who are coming to just learn for themselves and then the people who are coming because they want to teach other people. When we threw one of our scenarios where multiple people, not us, have to role play that they are injured, I was not prepared for the level of acting that we received.
It was so good.
It was so loud. Everyone was
good.
screaming. You're like, this is pure chaos. Like,
Yeah.
the whole room. It was crazy.
It was awesome. That was a mass casualty event.
Yeah, it was
awesome.
nuts. And then Sarah just said that she has a meeting with her chief of police tomorrow, praying for favor. She was talking to Sky. It was great meeting him and stuff.
Yep.
So that's very cool. Sarah has a very
Amazing testimony.
amazing story.
Yep.
She's a attorney. She lost a couple of her LEOs because they didn't know what to do.
Yep.
And so her goal is to help teach her LEO family what to do so nobody else loses their life. It's really, really awesome.
Amazing. And every student in here had a story like that, that's their intent, is to go back and teach others so that they may live. And that's just a beautiful thing. And so if I had to quantify, if I had to pick one thing why that class was so good, it was the intent from the instruction staff, from the support staff to the students. Everybody's intent was, I got to know this stuff so that I can teach other people so that they can live. And that's just a beautiful thing. We do have more classes coming up. We told the students here at Train the Trainer, Wilderness Responder has just posted. I will be the first one to tell you unapologetically, yes, it's expensive. It's expensive for a couple of reasons. 3 reasons. One is you're getting $500 worth of medical equipment. What's up? You want to be on camera? No?
And you're back out.
What's up?
One is you're getting $500 worth of medical equipment that you will take with you. The trainer kit for wilderness medicine is $500 worth of gear. And we're going to teach you how to use all of that equipment in the field in simulated austere environments. So that's the first. $500 worth of product that comes with the class. Why do we do that? Number one, you probably will not have some of the things we're going to use in this class. Number two, all of our classes, we provide trainer kits. And the reason for that is I don't want you to wreck your actual kit. I don't want you to have to bring your OpFac to class and consume all the stuff that's in here, because when you leave, you may need your first aid kit. You're actually more qualified to use it after you leave than before you get here, and now your kit's empty. So I don't want people burning their real kits in training. I want people burning training kits in training. So that's the first reason it's expensive. The next reason it's expensive is that it's an accredited class, meaning successful completion of the final exam, which is what we're teaching to. Mike and I just reviewed, 50 pages of curriculum yesterday for that class. Successful completion of the final exam, you will be accredited through the ECSI, Emergency Care and Safety Institute, for wilderness medicine. So it's not just Bear had a cool idea, we'll grab our cool guy stuff and go into the woods and teach medicine for a few days. It will be a combination of that, gear shakedown, preparedness, bushcraft, and wilderness wilderness medicine.
Wow,
Sorry.
that's new. Next year, wilderness metal.
Well, listen, if you've ever listened to like any black metal from Norway, they're very into that. Very into that.
Let's go to the woods and scream.
What is that? Blazeric by Immortal. I'm not gonna get us any channel
Yeah, I
strikes.
was about to say, don't play that.
Actually, I might. I'm pretty good at getting channel strikes. Immortal Blazeric.
No, I can't take any. I already got shut down the other day.
I'll
for
keep
that
the
live.
volume off. Look, they are literally on an ice cap. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. Wilderness metal exists. So second reason this class is expensive is because it's an accredited class. It's not a good idea. It's an accredited class. The third reason it's expensive is because of the utilization of staff. Instructors, assistant instructors, and support staff, because we're going to be in an area, depending on which area of the property that we're on, that's anywhere between 12 and 20,000 acres of our classroom. Our classroom is going to be 20,000 acres. And we will be in that 20,000 acres for 3 days and 2 nights. We are overnighting. So part of the required packing list is you have to have a sleep kit. Like literally the first lesson is going to be how to poop in the woods, because you're going to have to poop at some point while you're out there, and that leads into sanitation, because vectors for disease, flies, fingers, feces, and everybody, and this is medicine. Are we teaching march in a wilderness setting? Yeah, that's part of it. That's about 4 hours of the 72 hours. We're doing medicine. like actual medicine while we're out there, differential analysis and the whole nine. So with that, because it's an accredited class with a high instructor to student ratio, because we have to have control, because control equals safety. We don't want to start the class with 20 students and finish with 18 3 days later. That's a problem, right? So I have to have enough control, enough people to control the environment and its wilderness, which means that there are variables outside of our control that will present themselves, like weather, wild animals, hopefully no actual injury. I have to have a lot of instructors on staff for this, and then support staff, because in Train the Trainer, one of the things we taught was, what's your med plan? Okay, well, now in the wilderness setting, I have to have an actual med plan. There's 6 different places at that location. I know that I can land a helicopter. Awesome, I've already got that mapped out. But I gotta be able to get you from the point of injury to the point of casevac, medevac, which now gets into instructors with 4-wheel drive vehicles and side-by-sides that have to be available as part of the med plan, that in case of an actual emergency, we can convey an actual casualty to an actual casevac. And so logistically, it's heavy. So that's the 3 reasons why it's expensive. Number 1, you're getting $500 worth of product with it. Number 2, it's an accredited class, 36-hour curriculum taught over the course of 72 hours, in addition to preparedness and bushcraft and fire making and shelter making and water acquisition, water purification, patrolling, the whole 9. And I am one of an array of instructors for this. I mean, we have a lot of prior service guys that are coming in for this, a lot of medical professionals that are coming in for this. So it's an accredited class. There will be a final exam. If you pass that final exam, you will be accredited too, which is super cool. So that's the second reason it's expensive. And the third reason is logistics. It's personnel.
Oh my gosh.
It's personnel. This is not me and 20 students in the woods. That would be not a good class. It's me and a half a dozen other instructors and personnel at a minimum, with 20 students out in the woods. So yes, it's expensive, but the value is incredible. There's literally nothing else like it, especially if you're preparedness minded, because if you can go right now to refugemedical.com, look at, right on the website, on the listing, is the packing list. Look at the packing list and start figuring out, from a preparedness standpoint, why did Bear say I have to have these things? Why did Mike say we've got to have these things? Okay. And so then you have to start wargaming, triaging. How do I carry this stuff in addition to the trainer kits that are going to be provided to you when you get here, and 72 hours worth of food, and a minimum of a gallon of water, and a sleep kit, and a shelter, and signaling, and navigation, and your weapons platform, and ammunition for your weapons platform, and blah, 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 blah. By the way, bring empty mags. You'll be thrown out of the course if you bring a live round with you. Simple as that. Empty magazines. But you see my point here? There's a lot of stuff to figure out, and this is for a 72-hour period. There were some of y'all that came to Night Responder, which was a 24-hour period with 1 night phase. Daylight, night, daylight. They had 100 pounds of gear on for 24 hours. My loadout for Night Responder was a chest rig with mags, nods, a rifle, and a day pack. IFAK in my pocket. And the day pack had ammunition, water, a poncho and a whoopee, nicotine and caffeine in it, and some Cliff Bars, some calories. That's it. A 25-pound day pack, and helmet, nods, rifle, magazines, IFAK. Knife, right? Because it's 24 hours. You don't need much for 24 hours. So if you brought 100 pounds worth of gear to the 24-hour scenario, you can't bring 300 pounds of gear to the 72-hour scenario, because we're moving by foot. Okay, so now we're starting to get into the preparedness aspects of this, and stacking and laddering up capabilities. So there's not another class like it. Believe me, we looked when it comes to wilderness medicine. The modality of instruction is going to be very refuge. Very refuge. And now, if you can't come to that class, if you're not comfortable coming to that class, we also have the Refuge Responder coming up, which is an 8-hour, 1-day class, where we do lecture and practical application in the morning, and then we run one scenario in the afternoon. That's also on the website. That's a Refuge Responder. And we've also got an ER and Essential Responder this fall that's also on the website. That's a 2-day class, which is lecture practical application in the morning, begin scenarios in the afternoon of day 1, and then day 2 is all scenario-based training. What do you got?
So if you go to the training tab, you'll notice there's nothing blacked out anymore. Nothing says sold out anymore because we have started filling up our Q3 and Q4 calendar for trainings. I did want to mention there are only 16 spots left for wilderness responder.
Yep.
We have a max of 20 because we want to make sure to have the right student to cadre ratio. So don't wait and think, oh, I'll just get it the month before. You won't.
Yeah.
Because there won't be spots left.
Yep. Yeah, and it will not be 21 students.
No.
It can't be 21 students. It's 20 students. And then if all that sounds great, but you know, maybe you're like me and you got a 14-month-old baby and traveling is just not a thing for you right now, cool. On the 30th of this month, we have our remote responder, which is a 4-hour block of instruction. We're doing it live, just like this, where we'll have the curriculum up on the board. We'll have all of the teaching materials here. If you want to do that class, I would order your trainer kit today.
Yeah,
So you have it in time, because that's coming up May the 30th. Get your trainer kit, and then you'll receive a link in your email. We'll go live. We're going to do the 4-hour block of instruction that we call Responder 1, which is scene safety, massive bleeding, airway, respiratory, circulation, head injury, hypothermia, and everything else. So all that's on the training tab. Because do we make first aid kits? Absolutely. We make the best first aid kits on planet Earth, bar none. I'll put them up against anybody else's product any day of the week. We've been doing that for 5 years, and that has gotten us out of my barn, me working by myself, to on 4 continents now with 144 lives saved to date that we know of. Pushing 50,000 happy customers. Awesome. Our kits are the best. But we're really an education and instruction company, right? Because it doesn't, having this bleeding prevention kit, which is very affordable, water resistant, great kit for the boat, the RV, the jet ski, the rucksack, the backpack, the desk drawer, whatever. Having this kit, but not knowing how to use it, doesn't matter, right? And so we've got to educate and instruct you as much as possible beforehand so that when you have one of these, and more importantly, an incident where you need to use one of these, you know what you're doing. It's not the first time that you've done it. You're not going to just figure it out. You don't want to be figuring it out for the first time when the consequence of failure is death. You need the reps and sets beforehand. What were you going to say, Lauren?
Well, we had two things. Tommy got placed aside.
Oh, what's up, Tommy G?
Arc Living, yes, the webinar will be available, not offline, but it will be available all the way until the Tuesday following the 30th at 11:59 p.m. If you're not able to watch it, send me a message, lauren@refugemedical.com. We'll figure it out. Second thing, I had somebody ask, when will the next Train the Trainer be? Because they didn't get to make it to this one due to finances and stuff. And we just got another one on the calendar.
We just did that. What are those dates?
So our next Train the Trainer will be in the fall. I'm pulling it back up. Hold on a second. Next Train the Trainer, hopefully you guys can hear me, is going to be on November 9th, 10th, and 11th. Yes, it is now a 3-day class.
Yep.
We learned a lot.
Yes, we did. It's now a 3-day class. And again, going back to the students, thank you for the awesome input after the fact. I'm sorry that our AAR got cut short because there was a literal tornado on the ground. An actual tornado. So when it came to force ranking importance of things we had to do today, not getting killed by a tornado was higher on my list than completing the AAR. I hope that you understand. And if you are a plank holder, first ever Train the Trainer class, please, any feedback you have, and especially because some people need time to go back and think and then formulate their thoughts. Hi, Sarah. Bye, Sarah. Do you have anything? anything to tell the Caleb House people? Do that thing and then come back. But anyway, if you have input for us, please email it into us. I would really, really appreciate that. You can send that to admin@refugemedical.com or click the Contact Us tab on the website. And then also, I know there were a bunch of y'all that wanted to buy stuff after class. We don't put classes on so that you will feel compelled to buy stuff, but the retail portion of the store is open, right?
We had someone actually like upset because they were like,
Yeah.
I wanted to buy something. We're like, there's a tornado.
So I want you guys to get whatever it was that you wanted to buy. If you were part of that training class, shoot us a text, shoot us an email, call the store. We have your names. I'll ship you for $0 whatever you wanted so that you're not having to pay shipping for it, because there would have been no shipping if you had got it at class. So with that, like, I'm sorry, I just didn't want to get killed by a tornado. It's kind of a big deal for us. Mike's laughing over there.
Oh man, Sarah said the tornado hit behind her hotel in Fort Smith. Claudia and I and her hubby and their adorable baby were huddled in the stairwell.
Oof.
Man, that's freaking crazy.
That's a good team, though. Claudia, Zach, and Sarah,
Yeah.
plus the baby. I mean, maybe the baby's badass. I don't- Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
We're with the Refuge Nation right now.
Hi, guys.
You're Sarah with Caleb House.
I am Sarah with Caleb House.
What's going on?
Lots of stuff going on with Caleb House. There's lots of property work being done. Our agricultural planner has been hard at work all week working on stuff. One of the things he's actually working on is a biochar kiln. I don't know how many of you know about biochar, but it's actually really good for your gardens and your property and everything else. And he's working on that for Caleb House, for our greenhouse, for our property and everything else. And he's also working on potentially, we're going to see, also selling biochar through Caleb House so that you all can have some stuff for your garden as well. And we're going to be announcing the next dates for the Refuge Ruckus, July 1. And then tickets.
It's not on July 1.
No,
That's when
no.
we're announcing the dates for it.
Yeah, guys, 2026.
Wow.
We're talking 2026. Don't scare me. Don't try to buy
Really
tickets
fast.
yet.
I would have loved to have known more than 9 days before.
Yeah.
Oh, that's June. Yeah,
Yeah.
39 days.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, the real answer, the real question that the internet, we've got to know, what kind of shampoo are you using? Smells
Very
amazing.
luxurious hair. Very luxurious.
It depends
Very
on my mood.
luxurious. It's great.
Thanks, guys. I've been working outside a lot too, so it's got the good like
Is it herbal
glow.
essences?
No, actually, last night. So I do have like a skin issue, and every now and then I get like really itchy. And
too.
so
I get
every
that
now and
too.
then I actually have to use Head and Shoulders, like the regular original brand Head and Shoulders, to get
Yep.
rid of itchy skin.
Well, your
Heck
hair
yeah.
looks great.
Thanks. It was Head and Shoulders.
I love
literally.
it. Like, your hair looks so good. What'd you do? I'm like, I washed it.
I washed it.
Yeah.
I have never dyed my hair, so maybe that's what, like, one reason why it always looks so healthy.
Yeah.
Fun fact,
So-
I'm not saying you're
Yeah.
dealing with this, but if you got some green stuff on your toes, right? You for real, use Head and Shoulders.
Yeah.
Yep, it
I
works
do
on
actually
it.
know, yeah.
Yep, toe
I
fungus.
did not know that.
Yep.
Probably
Yeah.
So
Head and Shoulders
I'm not
probably
saying your
anti-
toes are
No,
green.
so no,
I'm just saying you
my
could.
toes aren't green. It's called Tinea Versicolor. It's like a yeast, like my skin produces extra yeast.
That's
So,
fun.
It is fun. It's
So-
super fun. It's because I used to go to tanning beds all the time in college, and they didn't clean them properly, and that's what I get for being a heathen. I call it my
Word.
leprosy. It's my white spots on my skin.
So
I call
when we
it
have to
leprosy.
bug out and we need to make leavened bread, we just
Oh gosh, no.
thanks, Sarah.
That's disgusting.
Where's Sarah? We gotta make some biscuits.
This loaf is called Sarah.
I mean, my name is Sarah Lee, so
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
That's okay. See, so for your mutual assistance group, you want to find somebody that produces their own natural yeast.
so gross.
I love how we just we're over
so
here.
bad.
Grossed
Well,
out
talk
by
about
that right
Caleb
now.
House stuff, Sarah. Yeast.
Anyway, I think that's amazing. I think it's a superpower.
I don't. It's itchy. It's
Oh
not
my
fun.
gosh, can you
Okay.
imagine? Sarah's got a booth at the Ruckus. It's just like little packages.
Just
of
little
her
scrapers.
skin.
Well, hold on. What's in Aubrey's cookies? Now I need to know.
Ew, no, that's love. That's all her
Okay.
love. That child, it's crazy. She actually just got a cookbook from Brookie Bakehouse. It's an
Nice.
Instagram channel.
Yeah.
Oh, there's like 50 different cheesecake recipes,
Is she still shipping? She's
Yes.
doing shipping?
Yes, she's still shipping.
And where do people get
Yeah, where do
Aubrey's
they go?
sweet treats from?
So you can go to kehilamarket.com, KEHILLA market.com for all her shippable stuff.
Oh, I have to put www.
Yeah, and you should like her on Facebook, Aubrey Sweet Creations.
Heck yeah. Listen, let me tell you. And I'm not just saying this because she's basically family. They are so good. Every 2 weeks, Sarah will put in the chat like, "Hey, this is what Aubrey's working on. Order it now." I don't eat I'm eating meat right now, okay? And I'll see that and go, "Hey, I want a cheesecake and I want some of them whoopie pies and definitely hook us up with a brookie and maybe some coffee cake as well." My wife is like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "They're so good." She goes, "You can't eat all that." I said, "I'm not. I'm going to have one of each." She's like, "But why are you buying all of that?" I was like, "Because I want to have one of each." She's like, but then it's going to be in the house and the rest of us will eat it. I'm like, "You're welcome, okay?" The whoopie pies, oh my gosh, the whoopie pies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I can't have those around me.
Yeah.
I'm trying
That's
to-
not a
They're-
one and done.
No.
I need a dozen for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's nuts. She is working on macarons.
Mm-hmm.
And she's gonna do 4th of July macarons with natural dye, red, white, and blue, so it's
That's
not bad.
awesome.
Oh my gosh, that place is gonna be when
Oh
she
my
opens
God.
her business. It's gonna be like her bakery. It's gonna be nuts.
I'm sorry to bring it back to your skin. But somebody said, don't make Sarah stay outside during the Feast of Unleavened Bread.
Other side of the gate, Sarah.
Go on!
No, we love Sarah. It's good.
Okay.
Okay, so lots of things happening at Caleb House, which is
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
Good job.
Lots of construction, lots of agricultural stuff,
And
lots of event stuff.
and when the ruckus dates post, where are people gonna find the ruckus dates?
So the ruckus dates are going to get posted on Facebook. They're also going to go out in our newsletter, which you should sign up for on the Caleb House website if you haven't already. And then they're also going to be on refugeruckus.com. The start dates and then the for sale dates and everything else will be on refugeruckus.com. We're working on a new lineup of guest speakers as well, and
Thank you.
all those fun things. Location, everything else, all of it's in the works. And we are also working on more events for 2026. So the ruckus plus some other things going on, and then also working with doing some cool business partner type stuff, all working on towards 2026. So
Beautiful. I like it.
What are you doing?
I'm dressing up our little buddy. He's got to look good. Sarah's got awesome hair. He's got nothing. There we go.
Oh boy.
We should probably go.
I need another cup
We
of
should
coffee.
probably.
I was saying, I just finished my coffee on the way over here. I'm so glad I did. So I'm actually
What a
late for
great
this.
show.
I just never know what's going to happen on this show. I just prepare myself. Like,
You know, you always got to keep them guessing. You just, and I don't know what I'm gonna do next. And so let's just go there from a business development standpoint, right?
I'm gonna dip out.
Okay. Thanks,
Hi,
Sarah.
Sarah. It's nice
Appreciate
to see
you. There are copycats on the market, right? Like Refuge comes out with a cool thing, and then 6 months later or a month later, one of our air cool competitors will come out with a cool thing that's like 98% rip off of the cool thing that we came out with. It's an honor, right? But how are they supposed to try and anticipate what our next move will be when we don't even know what our next move will be? We have no idea. So it's actually strategically a very viable course of action to just be loony, It's like trying to, what's that drunken fighting style, right? You have no idea what they're going to do next. We might actually be drunk too. No, drinking is okay, drunkenness is not.
hey, Jake Tripp said that his wife said he was doing scenarios in his sleep.
Wow. What kind of scenarios, Jake? What are you guys into? That's weird. Leave that poor woman alone.
Oh my gosh.
Tourniquet left leg. Ah.
Oh my gosh.
All right, guys, that's the show. Anything you need from us, call the store. Numbers on the website on the contact page. Hit the contact form on the store, refugemedical.com. Email us, admin@refugemedical.com. or use the chat on the website. So many of y'all have hit the chat and you have questions, which is awesome. I'm like, you know what? Let's have a quick phone call for clarification. And then they're like, oh my gosh, is this Bear? Yes. I told you there were real people on the other end of the phone. I'm one of those real people. There's only so many people in here. Like, when Terry and Christine and Jen are busy, and Lauren's busy, and Harmony's busy, and Philip's busy, and Mike's busy, like, who do you think's gonna get on the phone? You know what I mean?
Whatever. You racist to the. You literally.
I like the phone, okay?
The chat, I will be typing like 30 seconds after someone sends a message, and here comes TJ and pushes enter a millisecond before me. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
You're welcome.
And so then the person gets like 2 or 3 answers because 2 or 3 people.
But think about that from a customer service standpoint. There's real people on this end, like, battling over who gets to help you first.
Yep.
And we have in no way incentivized that from a company standpoint.
No.
It's not like you get $1 for every chat you send. There's none of that. It's just like we genuinely want to help people. And versus like other companies, like you send them an email or you hit the chat and 3 days later the robot responds. We're not doing that. I'm not doing that because the robots will never need, bleeding control, airway, respiratory, because they're robots. We are for people. I am for humanity. And I want to keep as many good people alive as possible so that we can save their physical life so they might have a chance at the saving of their eternal life. And that's us in a nutshell, man. We are refugomedical.com. Come see us. Holler if we can help you. And we'll see you guys next Thursday morning. Thanks for being here.
We had 178 people at one point. For our channel, that's good.
It's awesome.